That's not a cut. That's a slice.
Now this is a quack hook.
Oh,
Short
wow.
and into the right rough, headed to the trees.
Oh my God, it's a shake. He decided to re-tee. That's a shake. Oh, man.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Two-Way Miss podcast. Thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate everyone that's been watching the YouTube vids and downloading the podcast. We really appreciate the viewership on the YouTube channel. The videos have been doing really great, along with people still downloading and listening to the podcast version. So please continue to enjoy this show, wherever it's convenient for you, but we'll be putting it out on the different platforms for you as we keep moving forward here. So we appreciate you watching. Make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel so you don't miss any videos. Make sure you subscribe or to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on Twitter at the Two-Way Miss is the new Twitter account. So make sure you follow that. But as always, we're joined by the good buddy Banksy. Banks, how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Thanks for keep having me back every week. I appreciate it.
You're not going anywhere. You're not allowed.
Are you like I feel like a little kid, like checking the YouTube channel, like
I do it all the time.
Every hour. And it's like, oh,
Yep.
2 more people watch this.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like,
I started looking.
oh, 3.
Yeah, I started looking at like the analytics to the last couple with like how long people are watching, like what's the average view time and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I
Just-
started getting into it.
Yeah. Refresh.
Yeah. Well, I bounce from that and then I go to the page that shows me how many times people have downloaded it. And then I go to Spotify where it tells me how many times people are streaming it from there. And then I go to the Apple Podcast one, which tells me how many people get it from there. So I'm like, I got like 4 tabs open at any given time that I just like can bounce back and forth in between.
It's awesome though. It's neat. It's neat to see the numbers and
Yeah, man,
all
we're
the
up to 9 subscribers from 0. Almost at the big 10, almost at double digits.
Yeah.
which
Double
is sick.
digits.
It's been good.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So
Good stuff.
thanks everybody out there for listening or watching. So tonight we got a couple things we want to cover. There is a golf tournament currently going on over there in Phoenix, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we touched on it a little bit last week, or last episode, because of the actual tournament going on in Saudi Arabia. But as you can imagine, when people are over there and the media is over there, questions are going to be asked, and a couple of things got leaked, and Phil Mickelson made some comments that we're gonna get into a little bit. So I think let's start with the tournament that's actually going on, and then we can jump into the heavier stuff towards the end of the second half of the podcast. So the PGA Tour is out in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Waste Management Open. One of the more polarizing events of the year, I guess you could call it.
Lively events, yeah. The circus is in town.
So it seems to me that it's gotten to a point where everyone has accepted this tournament for what it is, because it is the only tournament that is like this. And do you want to explain to everybody why this tournament is different, and explain what makes this stand out so much on the golf calendar?
Yeah, so this is and I like it. It's early in the season. It's not a small tournament, but it's not a major, a huge tournament. But over the years, what is it? Hole 16, which
Yep.
is anywhere from 140 to 170 yard par 3.
Yeah.
Maybe give or take a few yards, and slowly but surely, over the years, they've turned it into this arena, this, basically just
It's like 3 stories this year. Did you see? I
place.
was watching.
Oh yeah. There's
and, like-
there's a stage. They
Yep.
have people there. They have concerts going on, and it's basically anything goes. Within legal reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, debatable. I mean, at least what we see on TV.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We don't, because as soon as something would happen that gets leaked or
Yeah, that's
whatever,
right.
then it probably goes away or get shut
Yeah.
down. And with COVID, happening a couple years ago, and then still, still being present last year. They kind of, I guess, minimize the numbers that
Yeah,
were allowed to.
they didn't seem too worried about it
partake.
this year. It looked pretty
Yeah,
pretty squeezed
this
in.
year, it's back, and it's you're basically hitting a golf shot in an arena, right? Like it's like an open air arena. Like if you were
It's
hitting
literally closed off. Like the players have to walk through a
Yeah.
tunnel. Like it's not like
Through a
there's
tunnel
some
to get
open
there.
sides to it. You get in
Right,
there and
it'd
it's
be
like
like-
you're in the Coliseum, baby.
Yeah, you're like going to, like you'd be hitting, hitting golf balls in a baseball stadium or like a football stadium
Yep.
with thousands of drunk fans screaming
Yeah.
at you.
Yeah.
And it's neat because the players know it's coming. It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna bitch about it or complain about it. Or I'm sure someone will complain about it because people find things to complain about no matter what. But they'll guys will put different jerseys on or tell the crowd to make noise, which I personally, if I was in there hitting that shot, some players they still have it quiet while they're hitting their shot. But there's so many people there and they're so hammered.
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
nervous I would just tell them, like,
Get as
go ahead,
loud as
just-
possible.
just scream the entire time so my brain's not
Yeah. That's all at the
know.
same decibel at least. Nothing's gonna shock you if everyone's going for it.
And you miss the green or you hit a bad shot, you're going to get booed. Which isn't necessarily, that doesn't happen at every golf tournament. People say stupid things, but not typically you're getting booed
Yeah.
after a golf shot. But yeah, it's neat. Like it happens once a year on one hole a year. And I don't know. Should there be more of this? Maybe. I mean,
Yeah, I think that's something
it's-
we can get into that. I think when we just talk about the tournament, I think it usually has a very good field. The holes are like that 16, 17, 18 is a really good closing stretch. Like the last couple of tournaments have come down to, the last one or two groups, and you really got to hit, like it comes down a lot of the times to a good drive on 18. 17's that short par 4 with water left of the green, that guys
Yeah.
can decide to go for or not. And then 16 is birdieable, but the atmosphere, right, is something that guys, when the pressure's on, it can make a difference.
right.
I've never been. I think I'd want to go just to sort of say that I did.
Yeah, it's probably on the bucket list somewhere. I'm not quite sure how high it is on
Yeah,
the bucket list,
fair.
but
I think
you
when
also
you're,
got
I
to
think
get
when
there.
you're
like-
talking regular PGA Tour tournaments,
yeah. Well, you also got to get there at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
to get to get a spot in one of those
Right.
in one of those bleachers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
the goal might not be to stay in the bleachers all day. I think we're past that time of our lives where we hang with the
Yeah.
frat boys from ASU in the stands. But but I think in general, so here's the thing. I think the reason it is tolerated by the greater golfing world is because it obviously gets tickets sold. It obviously draws in viewers from a more casual standpoint. It is one of those more memorable things that happens on just a regular PGA Tour week, right? This is not a major, like you said, but people will remember that, oh yeah, the Waste Management has that hole. I personally think anything to get away from the stuffiness of golf is not a bad thing. I don't, and we'll talk about this, I don't know if every golf course needs something like this in order to keep it interesting. I think I'm more in the camp of, I'm happy that it's around. I'm happy that everyone has gotten over it and just accepts it. And they've stopped complaining, right? They bring a bunch of their sponsored merch, right, and just throw it to everybody. The players who go know what they're getting into and seem to embrace it, which is good. So I think I'm in. I mean, I've been in for it. I've never had a problem with it. Like, I've never had an issue with it. I think it's pretty fun when guys get booed for missing par putts or, missing the green and stuff like that. So I think in general it's a good thing. And I also think that luckily the tournaments have been good over the years, and they've come down to not just 16, but to what are they going to do on 17, right? Are they going to try and take on the water, the potential of the water, and try and drive the green? And then on 18, you have to hit a decent drive, because I think there's more water on 18 if I remember correctly. But a lot of guys tend to bail out right, and there's bunkers over there, and they tend to get stuck in them, which can make your second shot obviously a lot harder. So I think for me, I enjoy it. I hope that it brings more casual fans just to at least watch the tournament. I'm sure the TV people like it. I'm sure the PGA Tour likes it because it sells tickets and it gets people watching the tournament. But what are your thoughts in general about it?
Don't expect to see it at Augusta anytime
probably
soon.
not.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's why not? Why not? Right? Like, they're playing 72 holes of golf. I think one hole, doing that one time each day.
Yeah.
You can get over it. Like, you can, these guys have a wedge in their hand. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, it's not like it's a super hard hole.
Yeah, they're not hitting 4-iron into anything.
Yeah, like, you got a wedge in your hand. You got people. People are going to be screaming and yelling, and I think it's good, and I think more courses could embrace it, especially it bringing in the fans, selling tickets, getting some of these guys some extra exposure. Because people, they'll go. I mean, that those stands are full all day. So
from like 7 a.m. to 7 at night. Yeah.
So every player gets the full effect of the whole 16. I think some of the team, the team event that's played, was at the Zurich.
Yeah.
Is that the Zurich, I think. Like, that'd be neat to have a whole, like, a team, do it on the team event, or when they do the Dell match play, every year, like, have a whole like that during the Dell, during the match play. You don't want to. I know, I'm sure some of the purists out there will, you'll make a mockery of the game, and that's not how it's supposed to be played. But listen, they play golf every single week.
Yeah.
And it's 72 holes of golf every week. Like, you can liven it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be super gimmicky, but
I think it's like it's every sponsor's dream to have something that differentiates you from every other week on the PGA Tour. Like, it's every tournament director's dream to have something like that people, that the casual fan and the hardcore fan recognize and are going to tune in for.
And they can do it in one hole. Like, it's one hole.
Yeah. Literally. Like, no one else probably remembers.
All that extra marketing and publicity.
Yep.
One hole.
Right. Yeah. So I think from an everyday, like, every week, not every week, but like a tournament that's on the calendar every year, but is not a WGC, is not, the Memorial or the API, or, name another one of those elevated events, whatever they're called. They're always looking for a way to differentiate themselves. Phoenix has found a way to do it. They've made it sustainable. They've made it profitable, and they've made it a thing that casual fans will remember. And I think it's gotten to the point where I think the players enjoy it as well. It's got to be a nice way to sort of mix it up when you go to a tournament that's more casual.
Yeah, and it's just escalated over time. It's just getting bigger and better. I mean, that setup, if you have a chance, Google, if you're not watching the tournament, at least Google the setup and just see how ridiculous it is.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, they have fly arounds, like, when nobody's there, like, they'll send the drone up and they'll give you a 360 view of the whole thing. It's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty
but it's
neat.
literally
So,
a drunken mess.
oh yeah, yeah, and it, it's people. You got your, you know, you got what? You got people in costumes.
Oh
You
yeah.
got people in jerseys. You got people with no clothes
Yep.
on.
Yep.
It's just and it's just a free for all,
Yep.
man. Like it's yeah. If that's your scene, there you go. You got one tournament a year.
That's right. That's right.
You can go watch. So, all right, and this will never happen. But if you could do that setting, you could set that up for one hole at one of the majors.
Ooh.
Which major would it be?
I mean, you have to say 12 at Augusta, right?
You think so? Like that would be.
So I think
Could you imagine?
I
There'd
think
be
that's
people rolling over in their
I
graves.
think
if
that's
you did
part of the
that.
reason why it would be so good is because it's the one that would never happen. Like
Yeah,
I
and
could see
that's
it
such a
happening.
pivotal-
I could see it happening at an open venue.
That's what I was thinking too. I could see it at an open.
I could see it at
No.
a US Open. I could see it at a PGA, but I think I'm picking the one that I would want to see most because
You'd
it
wanna
would
see it?
never happen. But can you imagine the
Like
pressure
those
that
balls
they would?
hitting the bank and rolling in. The people would
Can
be
you
losing it.
imagine if that thing was just lined from tee to green and around
Yeah.
the green over the water,
Yeah,
like with that many people? The problem, I mean, it might take away from some of the wind that messes with the balls. So you'd have to keep it like one tier, it'd have to be like you're at a zoo and you're
Right.
like looking in the pen, it's just like one tier of stuff. But that kind of pressure added to that hole would be unbelievable to watch. And especially if
would be
that's the
insane.
one hole that people could make noise on in Augusta. Like you can't put your back on the grass. Like I went and I just went to like put my head back because we had been walking all day. You find a shady spot, you're sitting down, you just want to like lean back against the tree or something. And a volunteer asked me to sit up because it's not a good look for them, right? To have people lying down.
You're being a scrub.
Yep.
You don't disrespect. You
I
don't
just-
disrespect
I just wanted to
Augusta
feel.
like
I
that.
wanted to feel the grass. I wanted to feel it.
Yeah. If you would have invited me, I would have known that, and you wouldn't have been in that situation.
We're gonna get media passes one day.
Yes,
That's the
there
goal,
we go.
man. They have podcast
but-
studios at the new media center. I've seen them. Well, not with my eyes, but just online.
In my dreams.
We're gonna do it, man. We're gonna do it.
All right, I'm in. But yeah, I think that is 100% like that would be it. 12 at Augusta. That would be nuts.
I mean, it'd be wild.
The most likely place for it to happen.
I say US Open.
likely. Really? See, I would say I'd almost say PGA.
I think a US Open because they have kind of had a precedent set, like back when Sergio was a kid and they'd go to New York and all those fans were being assholes.
Yeah.
I
liked him for a while.
I think at an open course, like the RNA is too stuffy. They're too like,
Mhm.
Golf is our game and we can't, besmirch it
Yeah.
like those Americans. But the problem is, the problem really is at a US Open that the tracks they go to are so big and they're almost never set up well for fans.
Right.
So it'd be tough to find a course that you'd be able to do that on. I'm even thinking about like Bethpage, like you probably put it on, what is it, 16 there, that par 3 up the hill.
Yeah.
It's a long
yeah.
par 3, but what other ones can you maybe think of that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it'll never happen. So I guess if it's something that's never going to happen, we might as well just keep it at Augusta on 12 and think about how ridiculous that would be.
I think that's the answer. Listen, people, if you're watching or
That's the
listening,
answer.
like let us know on Twitter, let us know in the YouTube comments. What hole do you know, if you can think of something else or if you agree with us, let us know. But man, that would be so funny to see that at Augusta. Oh my God.
Our media passes are going to be revoked because
this is an early episode. They'll never watch this.
We're diminishing.
We prefaced it by saying it wouldn't happen. We prefaced it. It's fine.
It wouldn't happen.
Augusta National, if you're listening, we're big fans. So,
like, imagine even going back to when Tiger won, and all those guys hit it in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Like after, like Koepka, Finau, Molinari.
Yeah.
Like, just almost in succession. Could you imagine what that place would be like?
Oh my God.
Knowing that Tiger's moving into the lead and these guys are dunking balls in the water one after one.
When Tiger would have put it on the green there after those 5 guys put it in the water, you would have felt the earth shake.
Yeah, it would have been nuts. Maybe, I mean, it could have been one of the greatest sports moments of all time if those stands were there.
Oh my God! If you juxtapose that environment onto that hole for those 2 groups that run through, yeah.
I mean, crazy.
Yeah, and then the thing is, all those people could turn around and then they'd watch you tee off at 13, you know, and then like Molinari, like he hit that tree branch, right? And it went in the water again. So you'd essentially have to deal with it twice.
Yeah. All right, back to reality.
It's a good question, though. It's a good thought experiment. I liked it. But I think
that'd be interesting to get some comments on that.
Yeah. Definitely let us know, people out there.
But you're right. I'm just saying you're right. Like 100% Riggs, you're right.
That very rarely happens, so I appreciate you.
Yeah.
But I think, listen, if you get a chance to watch the Phoenix or the Waste Management, I keep trying to call it the Phoenix Open. If you get a chance to watch the Waste Management, flick it on, at the end of the day. It's really great to watch those groups start, the marquee groups start going through 16, 17, 18. It's worth it. If you're a golf fan or are just getting into golf, it's worth it to see that and kind of get to live that experience a little bit through the TV at least. So, and again, I think Koepka's up there right now. Schauffele's up there on the leaderboard. Somebody's leading who I've never heard of in my entire life. I can't even remember how to pronounce his last name. Hold on. S. Thigala. Sahith Thigala. So there you go.
Yeah.
Leading by 2 over Koepka, Schauffele, Cantlay, and Homa. Some big names
Homa.
running him down.
Homa, that's your boy.
That is my boy. He had a little rough start to day 1, but he bounced back today. He had I think he shot 6 under or something with no bogeys.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So should we get into the mess that is Saudi?
Let's do it, man.
So
let's do it.
Let's set the stage again. The tournament in Saudi Arabia happened. Players from the PGA Tour got paid what are called appearance fees to go over, play in the tournament, and a fair bit of that comes with you need to talk this tournament up, right? You need to say all the good things that are happening. You need to say how nice it is over here. You need to say that, oh, they're really trying to grow the game. That's the same phrase that everybody says, which is a bunch of BS. People call it sports washing is essentially what the Saudi government is trying to do.
And by appearance fees, like millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars to go over and play a tournament. And you get paid regardless if you make the cut or not.
Well, they didn't have a cut.
Oh, right. It's a cutless event. So
they didn't have a cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like, hey, come have a steak at the pro shop on us.
Yeah.
It's like, here's
We're going to pay you more than you would win if you won the tournament by like a lot more.
Just to show up and say how great we are.
Yep. So that's what happens at that particular tournament. There, in the world of golf, there's this thing going on where competing leagues are starting to pop up to essentially challenge the PGA Tour for the main entity that runs the sport of golf. So think of it like, if you want to relate it to basketball, think of it as two different basketball associations popping up to challenge the NBA. And in this, they're trying to lure the current players on the PGA Tour away from the PGA Tour to play on their particular tour. So right now, those are called the Premier Golf League, which actually started as a rival tour, but is now trying to work with the PGA Tour to set up some sort of, way that they could change how golf is being run from a business standpoint, but still kind of retain everything that the PGA Tour has already done. But there's one more called the Super Golf League, which is being backed by the Sovereign Fund of Saudi Arabia, which is where the rulers of Saudi Arabia have kept all their oil money, which they don't give to the people of their country. They hoard it so they can be mega trillionaires and do whatever they want. That particular league has hired Greg Norman to run that Super Golf League. For those of you who don't know, Greg Norman was a very good player in his own right when he played on the PGA Tour and the European Tour.
He attempted something like this.
Yeah, that could be 30 years that ago. Could be a whole different episode. He essentially attempted to create what are the WGCs now. He wanted the tour to incorporate more events overseas because he was Australian and he liked to play in Australia and he liked to play the European Tour. So he wanted the tour to incorporate more, or he wanted to create a series of events that would be more international. It essentially it's what turned into the WGCs that we know today, which aren't very worldly, if you ask me, because most of them, we get one played at freaking Memphis. They have a WGC in an office park. An office park golf course is a world golf championship. But we digress. We can, that'll be a different talking point when those WGCs start popping up.
Right. So Greg's getting his wish.
So Greg is the lead pony for this. He's been paid hundreds of millions of dollars to become the CEO of this golf league and peddle the Saudi government's agenda to try and dissuade people from their unbelievable humanitarian atrocities, you could call it.
Yeah.
It's borderline genocidal and all the things, look it up, Google it if you need to learn some more about it. But in doing that, they are trying to now get players from the PGA Tour to join this other Super Golf League. The PGA Tour has stated that they will not permit anyone who signs with another league to play on the PGA Tour. Now, it's still a legal battle as to if they can actually do that or not. So that's an ongoing battle that's happening. But in the meantime,
and the contracts, like the PGA Tour rules and bylaws and everything, everything can be manipulated one way or another. But if you're looking at it just as a black and white contract, what you sign when you sign up to play, essentially the PGA Tour has the right to kick you out of the PGA Tour. But again, with high-powered lawyers and lawsuits, who knows where this is going to end up?
Yeah. But what this Super Golf League is now attempting to do is they're attempting to throw so much money at top PGA Tour players that they will essentially stop playing the PGA Tour. They could still play all the majors because the majors are not associated with the PGA Tour in any way. But they are trying to pay them absurd amount of money to come and play only in this Super Golf League. So it's been very backdoor conversations, things like that at different events, dinners being had, meetings taking place. But this past week, when those players did go over to Saudi Arabia, and of course media followed them, more and more has started to come out about the numbers that certain players are being allegedly offered to cut their ties with the PGA Tour and go play on this other in this Super Golf League. The ones that have come out are Ian Poulter. It was reported was offered about $33 million just to come, right? This is only just, hey, we will give you this amount of money to come play in our league. You can still play all the events. You can still win all the prize money from those events, right? You can still make money from your sponsors, all those things. So that seemed like a lot for a guy who is not in his prime. He's a very recognizable name, which is basically all they're going for. They need people who the golf fan will recognize. And then sort of the big bomb dropped. It was reported that Bryson DeChambeau was offered $135 million to become one of the faces of this Super Golf League. It's been also rumored that Phil Mickelson has been offered, a certain amount of money. We don't know that number. Lee Westwood stated that he has an NDA and can't talk about it. Dustin Johnson admitted that he received an offer. We don't know the actual amount. We just know that it's not the same as Ian Poulter's.
But if Ian Poulter's getting $33 million,
and if Bryson's getting 135,
you could only imagine.
Yeah,
what that number is for Dustin. And this is it's a lot of information, but this is and these numbers are goofy. Like, it sounds goofy, but this is real. Like, this is really happening.
Yeah. This sovereign wealth fund that the Saudi government has hundreds of billions of dollars in it.
Yeah.
Money is not
an object to them. And it's being used for golf.
Yeah. Again, the term is sports washing. They're trying to wash away their previous transgressions by showing that they are, a country of sports, right? They're trying to get popular athletes to say good things about them. And it's called, the term is sports washing. So this obviously hit the golf world like a bombshell, given that these were the first actual numbers that had been reported. It had been rumored for a long time that Phil was very much, involved and was having a lot of meetings. We didn't know a lot of the other sort of golfers that had been offered. There were rumors, of course, but essentially they were targeting anyone in the top 50 in the world. I'm sure received an offer through their agent. Some players have come out and said, I will absolutely not play in something like that. Rory McIlroy being one of them, Brooks Koepka being another one. And I'm sure there's been a couple more, but those are obviously two of the bigger names that have come out and just flat out said they would not play in something like that.
Yeah.
They said they won't play in the Saudi one. We haven't heard so much about this Premier Golf League, which is run by a British investment company. So this obviously, hit the golf world pretty hard. And
the PGA is primarily against it because it's the Saudi league is trying to take the players away.
Yes.
Plus that means, if they're over, playing golf in Saudi Arabia, they're not in the United States playing PGA Tour.
Well,
events.
A lot of the Saudi Arabia events might happen in the United States. They're already in talks with several courses about trying to set up. So
that's
tournaments.
like coming to your house.
Yeah, it'd be direct. It'd be direct competition.
and setting up shop in your own now, this could be, I mean, this could be a whole thing. Like, do golf courses disassociate themselves with this Saudi league? If the Saudi league comes saying, hey, we want to host our golf tournament here, is the PGA, I mean, are there golf courses that are, loyal to the PGA or don't agree with the league and say, no, like we're not willing to host a tournament here.
I think there's very few that'll get over those dollar signs, if I'm going to be honest.
I know. I hear you. I know.
Because money is no object to these people. It's
Right.
no object. There's no amount of money that is too much.
Yeah, and that's a lot to process for like normal people
Yeah.
like us.
Yeah.
But like literally, I mean, you look at, you look at Ian Poulter getting $30 million just to show up. Dustin Johnson, who knows, 150, 50 million, 100 million, whatever. Like, could you imagine?
It's got to be close to or more than Bryson.
Like, could you imagine them being like, Tiger, we need you to come play. We'll give you $500 million to just come play in a tournament.
I bet
for
they
us.
offered Tiger 200 minimum.
Like, the numbers are just
They're
insane.
incomprehensible.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about the stat that you saw.
Yeah, well, yeah. So Tiger Woods over his 25-year professional golf career, and this is just golf. This isn't sponsorships or anything. This is strictly golf money. Has made right around $120 million playing golf, okay? and has been the best player in the world, maybe possibly the best player of all time. I mean, you're talking about the top dude, $120 million over 25 years. And this Saudi league is offering Bryson DeChambeau $135 million, almost $15 million more to be the face of their league. And, Bryson, yeah, one of the top guys, but certainly not the top guy. So, you're going down the food chain a couple pegs, and you're still offering him $135 million to be the face of the league. Now, who knows what is going on in his head? He did withdraw from the Saudi tournament. He didn't play. He withdrew for like a hip and a wrist injury or something.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going through his head right now?
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be interesting to see, and like, the PGA Tour is just one of those things where you're like, oh, the PGA Tour is forever. Like, that'll never fold or collapse.
right.
But if this league takes off just because, like you said, unlimited financial resources, plus playing a majority of the tournaments in the United States, could you imagine if the PGA Tour,
Yeah, the
PGA Tour were just disassembled because nobody wanted to play?
Yeah. I mean, the part that we start to get into is that they're trying to make like 58-person fields, so they can't just have 12 guys show up, right?
Right.
They're not trying to have just 12 guys show up to every tournament and have them play. They're trying to field a certain amount of players. So obviously there will be a group of very much unknown guys who are going to get offered money that they probably never would have seen
They'll
before.
never see. Right. Yeah.
But they're looking for cornerstones, right? That's why you make an offer to Bryson like that, because he's one of the most recognizable golfers. That's why the offers made to Phil and Tiger are probably numbers that we've can't even imagine. Because the clout that those players carry is worth any amount of money to them. They're just trying to get as many players who will draw attention to their league, so then they can attract more golf courses, then they can attract more sponsors, then they can attract more lucrative TV rights, you know. But it all starts with who can you put out there on the golf course.
Well, they got a bunch this first time. I mean, what is there? Is there another event scheduled?
So I think
I don't-
they did. They came out, or they said the plan to have a certain 15 events by next year, I think. They
Wow.
have like a really accelerated timeline.
Wow.
So again, this accompanied with the comments we sort of talked about from Phil the other week about him calling the PGA Tour greedy for keeping all the digital rights. And a
Yeah.
lot of people have speculated for a long time that Phil is like been at the top of these guys' lists, and Phil being the guy that he is, he hasn't said no. Tiger, I
Mhm.
think, has come out and said essentially no when he was asked about it. You know, he said the PGA Tour is my life. You know, this is where I've always been,
Yeah.
and this is where I'll be. I don't see Tiger making a move like this, if I'm going to be
and
quite
to
honest.
be fair to the PGA, like these guys are all multi millionaires.
Yes.
You know, I mean, yeah, it's one thing that this Saudi league is throwing stupid numbers at you, but like these guys are still. I mean, Phil Mickelson he's worth about almost $500 million. He's doing okay with or without this Saudi thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, the PGA and it's just the PGA will not be able to keep up with the Saudi money.
Yeah. So the problem is when you start getting into it, it's a lot about how the PGA Tour is set up. They're set up as a nonprofit. So like a lot of things come down to sort of what their business is registered as. And a lot of it comes down to sort of how long they've taken to make decisions, right? To do things like Top Tracer or get their tournaments to be broadcast in a certain way that doesn't have a billion commercials in them. You know, there's a lot of things that
Yeah.
fans are frustrated with, that I'm sure players are frustrated with, you know.
So what do you do? I mean, what do you do as a player? Is it the sheer fact? Now, yeah, go ahead. What do you?
I
what do
mean,
you
so
do?
this is where I appreciate having you here, because you, and as you said the last time when we started talking about just the money to go play in that Saudi tournament, I sort of hope that more people will come out and just have like a conscience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just have like a sense of right and wrong. No one,
Right.
they're not hiding where this money is coming. The Saudi government isn't hiding where this money is coming from. It's widely known where this money is coming from. Do I think there'll be a handful of guys who don't care about that? Absolutely, I do. Phil Mickelson probably being one of them.
And they'll just they'll hide behind, or this is strictly about golf. This isn't about anything else. This is just about golf. Golf's my life. This is a financial and golf decision, which might not be the best response, but that's like, is that what you have to almost brainwash yourself to believe? Like, hey, this is,
Yes, if you
they're
want
taking
to,
steps in the right direction,
Yeah.
and for me, it's just about the golf.
I mean, yeah. How else do you do it? How else could you go to sleep at night?
Yeah,
Honestly, like you or I, putting ourselves in the context of a Phil Mickelson or a Bryson DeChambeau or a Brooks Koepka or a Dustin Johnson, someone who has made tens of millions of dollars in their life. At some point, you have to have a sense of right and wrong.
the
Again,
moral compass.
yeah.
To be like, I'm not going.
It's like we talked about. This isn't a great example, but it's like you brought it up before we started recording. Like, what if somebody offered you $1 million to go do the same job you're doing now, but for somebody else? And I said, it's kind of like that, but it's more like the Nazis are offering you $1 million to go be a teacher, at some point you have to weigh who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not just about how much money they're going to be able to give you to do the same thing you're already doing. It's just not about that.
Do you think a majority of fans are gonna share that same moral compass as
That's the part.
you have?
That's the part where
Or
I don't know. I don't know enough about what their plan is to get eyeballs on this.
yeah,
If you're just trying to persuade the top 50 players in the world, let's even say you get 20 of them. So let's just say, just pick a random 20 guys out of the top 50 in the world. And then you fill out the field with a bunch of guys you don't know of from the Asian tour, from the European tour, Corn Ferry tour, whatever you want to do. Just fill out the rest of the field. What makes me want to watch that? I mean, again, considering there will be fans who won't know enough about the situation to know what they're watching. They'll just see that, and I'm completely naming these guys out of the blue. I'm just saying there's not any confirmations here. But like, because they see like Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, pick a Patrick Cantlay, and then pick like a Finau, pick a couple guys who are lower, a Berger. There might be some fans who just tune in because they see those guys are going to be there. Because they don't know anything more about it. They don't know where the money's coming from. They don't know who's running this, right? They don't know the like impetus behind the entire thing. But I don't know if that's enough people to like. I don't think that's enough people to get you a TV deal, right? Like, who's going to put this on unless they're doing it themselves? They could fund it themselves, and put it on a website or their own app, right? Their own streaming service. All of that could happen.
Streaming service.
Yeah, all of that could be possible. I don't know how they get enough eyeballs on it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. When are you watching that? When is that being played live? When they're overseas and stuff. What's that? That's coming on at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I think that's why they're trying to get a majority of the tournaments in the U.S. and Europe.
In the United States. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, man, if you could look 5 years from now and to see like what I mean, you just never know nowadays, right? Like the PGA could be gone. You just never you just never know. There was, and this was several years ago, I think, before a lot of the NBA basketball money really started coming through, where these guys, they too have crazy contracts, but it was like a China, the Chinese league.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, LeBron, we'll give you $100 million a year. Come over here and play.
Mm-hmm.
And, ultimately, obviously he didn't, but that's essentially what this is. And for them to come to the United States and just, flick the PGA Tour out of here, because it's like, listen, we got your guys, we got your courses, we're on TV,
right? We're streaming it, we're doing all these cool, innovative things because we control all the production rights and
we got, we got the money. Like, we're coming into your backyard, guys, and we're setting up shop.
Yeah.
And to have some of these players like a Phil Mickelson kind of come out and, I mean, really just kind of stick it to the PGA.
Put a line in the sand.
It's gonna be tough. And the PGA, are they really gonna follow through with this kicking people off the tour thing?
Yeah. I mean, at that point, they might not care. Not the PGA Tour, but the players.
No, right. But I'm saying from the PGA standpoint, like, are they going to follow through with that? And then, what if Dustin Johnson's like, yeah, like I'm going to play these Saudi events, but I still plan on playing,
Yeah,
10 PGA Tour events.
right.
Is the PGA Tour going to be like, nope, you're not? Are they actually going to follow through?
They're trying to.
It's gonna, and they're gonna, it's gonna be, woo. It's heavy stuff.
It's
man.
going to be some
It's
interesting
heavy.
stuff, dude.
It's heavy. It's heavy, and and it seems like this thing's rolling now. Like
Yeah.
this was brought up a couple years ago, and it kind of just went away.
Yep.
Now it's rolling,
Oh yeah.
and and like who's going to announce this thing? Like who commentated the Saudi tournament? Was it? Like,
I don't even
who's
know.
going
I
to be who's going to commentate these things? Like this is
someone
literally
yeah. Again, there'll be somebody out there who'll see dollar signs.
yeah. Whoa. Crazy, man.
It's
crazy.
Listen, when you get down the rabbit hole of this, it's wild.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I mean.
I
Like, I
know,
feel
like-
like we've talked about this for like a half an hour,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it's just like, oh shit! Like this
Branches
is
start
real
like
stuff.
branches start going
Yeah.
everywhere. It's something that we might be talking about it every week in 6 months. You know what I mean? Every time we do a show,
Mhm.
we might have something new to talk about. It's a wild scenario. Obviously, there have been articles written, so please do your own research. All the things that we've said are from, things that have been reported, so we're not, just pulling stuff
Yeah.
out of our hats here. But look into it more, see what you think about it. Leave us a comment again, shoot us a message on Twitter. Let us know what you think about it. Maybe let us know what players you think might want to be involved or sort of say yes to taking the money. I think
Right.
that'd be an interesting discussion to get down. I'm sure more numbers are going to be leaked. I'm sure we'll start hearing more reported figures about who's been offered what. It's going to start happening. It always does.
Yeah, and do your research too. Like, this whole thing sounds all great and grand until you realize, like you said, where the money's coming from,
Right.
and who it's coming from, and it's, is this you're like selling your soul for
Yeah.
for the money?
So that'll be the second part. If this does happen and the PGA Tour is going against it, you better bet that guys on the PGA Tour are going to be instructed to talk about it in a certain way, right?
Mhm.
They're going to be like, all right, when you're asked about this, you need to say that this is funded by the government of Saudi Arabia, right? They're going to have all these points. So it's going to be like a propaganda battle, essentially. Like who's going to win, that sort of marketing and communications battle to push their certain message a certain way. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be crazy. Like you said, we're going to be talking about this for a long time. We'll keep bringing it up when more things get reported. There was obviously just a lot that happened like last week into the weekend. And so we talked about what we could while the tournament was going on. And then obviously as more things got brought up, we wanted to bring it up on the next episode, but we'll have more to talk about next week. We'll have the Phoenix Open to talk about when that starts wrapping up. I think after Phoenix, is it Riviera? Are they
I
at
think
Riviera?
so. Yeah,
Hold on.
I think so. Yeah, we're coming up. Yeah, I think it is.
I think it is too.
We're coming up on the year anniversary of the crash.
That's right. Yep. So I think it goes Phoenix and then
So-
Riviera, another fantastic tournament that's
Yeah,
at a great
yeah,
golf course.
Great golf course, and some of the most expensive real estate
Yeah.
on the face of the earth.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that'll be a
so-
really fun tournament to talk about. We'll get into that next week as well. I think we got it. We'll talk about the crash again. We just have to talk about it. It's just something that we're going to have to talk about coming up on the anniversary of it. So a lot to talk about next week. We'll obviously bring you any more information on the whole Saudi Golf League and if we get any more numbers reported. But I think a really great discussion tonight, Banksy. We got into some good stuff there.
Yeah, absolutely. Wasn't sure what direction that was going to go in, but I think we off to a good start, and you're right. This is gonna be something that's going to be a topic of conversation for a while.
Yeah, it's again, we always say that like we go into these things just having a couple outline notes. We never script these. We never say like, here's all the points we're going to talk about. We have one or two things we want to touch on, and then we rely on the ability of us to have these conversations that we've been having for 17 years now. We've been having these types of conversations. So again, that was 55 minutes. We had two things on our list that we wanted to talk about, and that got us to a full episode, just like it always seems to do. And we're always amazed that we get to the end of these and we go, we did it again, man. We did it again. But we appreciate everyone out there listening, watching, wherever you are. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please, follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. This is always going to be available on YouTube and all the audio platforms that we've always had the podcast on. So don't worry, none of your audio content is going to be going away. We will have some more content coming out. We're going to film some what's in the bag videos to put up on the YouTube channel. We're going to film when we get on the golf course together. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming from that standpoint. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Thank you for listening, watching, wherever you are. We can't say enough about the support that we've been getting on these videos and the podcast. We talk about it all the time that we can't believe that anybody outside of our family, would decide to listen to us talk about golf. But we appreciate it. If you listen to us for 5 minutes or 50 minutes, we can't tell you how much we appreciate it. So thanks for joining us tonight, as always, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Swing hard, everyone.
Oh, it's not a cut. That's a slice.
Now this is a quack hook.
Oh,
Short
wow.
and into the right rough, headed to the trees.